Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Russell Evasion, and I am the Assistant Director for Residential Services, coming to you live from the Lakeshore campus in the Residence Life offices. As a Rambler alum and as a staff member, I am so excited that you've joined us today and to welcome you to the Loyola. I have the great pleasure of serving as your moderator this evening. Our goal for this webinar is to provide an overview of what the fall 2021 semester will look like at Loyola and to answer any lingering questions you may have about the student or academic experience, health and wellness, student activities, residence life, and fall 2021 orientation. Before we jump into the program, please join me in welcoming our host for this evening, Erin Moriarty, Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management and Dean of Admissions. Additionally, I would like to welcome our panelists who will be answering all the questions that you've sent in. Joan Holden, Director of the Loyola Wellness Center, Dr. Susan Reese, Co-Section Chief of Academic Continuity, Marissa Lucchese, Director for Student Activities and Greek Affairs, Jennifer O'Brien, Associate Director of Housing Operations, Adam McNeil, Assistant Director for Orientation, and last but not least, Margaret Bronek, President, Student Government of Loyola Chicago. I'll introduce each speaker who will discuss campus operations for their specific area. After they speak, there will be a question and answer period, which I will moderate. Questions have been gleaned from those that you sent in, and additionally from the Q&A responses that you can give at the bottom of the screen. We will also have expert Q&A responders who come to us from all three campuses to answer any questions that you may have during the session as well. We also encourage you to check out the chat feature at the bottom of your screen, which we will drop some great websites and social media links for you to be able to get ready to be a part of the Rambler community. We expect that we will conclude the webinar shortly after 5 p.m. Our Q&A experts will remain online afterwards to provide any written responses to any remaining questions that you may have. This event is being recorded and will be posted to the Return to Campus website as later this week. We hope that you will leave this webinar feeling confident in your decision to attend Loyola in the fall. I would now like to introduce our host for the evening, Erin Moriarty. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Russell. I hope everyone is doing well this evening. Thanks for being here today. We understand that choosing a college is an important, there we go. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm Erin Moriarty with Loyola University's undergraduate admissions, and I'm excited to have you all here. We understand that choosing a college is an important decision, and we know you have questions. We hope this time will be informative and will help paint the picture of what the Loyola experience will be like this fall semester. As we welcome students back to campus for in-person classes and on-campus living, we do so with the safety of our faculty, our staff, our students, and our surrounding community at top of mind. While we may not have all the answers today, please know we are excitedly preparing to safely accommodate both the in-person academic and student experience for all of our Ramblers. We will continue to follow all city and state regulations, and as these change rapidly, as we all may know, we are in the process of updating guidelines, and we will continue to provide updates between now and the start of the semester. As of today on campus, our dining halls, our library, the IC, Damon Student Center are all open for student use and will continue to be open this fall semester based on the city and state guidelines. We will continue to prioritize opening spaces for students and easing restrictions as soon as it is safe to do so. It has now been over a year since the start of the pandemic, and we have all learned a great deal in this last year. We have taken what we've learned and made changes accordingly so that this fall semester, all Loyolans will have a rich student and academic experience. We look forward to welcoming you to our community this fall semester. Go Ramblers.
Thank you so much, Erin. I would now like to turn things over to Joan Holden, who is the director of Loyola's Wellness Center. Joan will speak to any health and wellness related questions that you may have. Welcome, Joan.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Russell, and welcome to Loyola. I am very pleased to spend just a few minutes with you this afternoon to talk about health and wellness here at Loyola. Since the pandemic began, We have focused our efforts on mitigating risk and following the science. We have been mindful to follow the guidance of the CDC as well as the Chicago Department of Public Health. All of our decisions have been made on the best available science and evidence-based guidelines we have had at our disposal. With that in mind, let me share with you some of the measures we have taken thus far. We have known from the beginning that frequent testing of our campus population was critical. We partnered with the University of Illinois Shield Saliva Test Program, and the benefits of using this saliva-based testing platform are that it enables us to have widespread testing and does not need medically trained personnel to collect the samples and is highly accurate. In addition, saliva testing can identify pre-symptomatic and asymptomatic carriers of the virus, thus enabling greater control of our environment. We ask that every student, staff, and faculty member register to participate in the SHIELD testing program if they plan to be on campus. Detailed information about registering for the program can be found on our Loyola Return to Campus website. We learned early on the importance of contact tracing. Contact tracing is a proven public health measure that is key to slowing the spread of COVID-19 and helps to protect our campus community. Contact tracing does this by letting people know that they may have been exposed to COVID-19 and should monitor their health, or asking people to self-isolate if they have COVID or to self-quarantine if they are identified as a close contact. Here at Loyola, we have a team of volunteer contact tracers who have all gone through a formal training process. At no time does the contact tracer release the identity of the person who was diagnosed with COVID-19 in their calls to contacts. We have also successfully introduced the role of COVID care coordinators to our campus community. These coordinators, who live in the residence halls, work with students who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 or in quarantine due to exposure, and helps to ensure that their needs are met, such as meal delivery. The coordinators will also assign a contact tracer to the case. The coordinators report directly to me at the Wellness Center and help to ensure the students in need get access to resource in an expedited manner. I know many of you have questions about whether the university will be mandating COVID vaccine. At this time, the university does not require the vaccine, but that might change. However, we encourage all students to get vaccinated and hope for a high vaccination rate for our community as access to vaccine improves. We have been exploring the possibility of providing vaccine clinics on our campuses. All COVID vaccine in Chicago is distributed by the Chicago Department of Public Health. And if we are able to provide vaccine on our campus community, we will communicate that accordingly. Several of you are also wondering if vaccinated people will still be required to participate in the SHIELD testing. At this time, we are asking our entire population, regardless of vaccine status, to participate in the testing as well as mask wearing and social distancing. Again, if this policy changes, we will communicate accordingly. It's very important for all of us to be flexible as things change quickly in the world of COVID and as we follow state and federal guidelines. All incoming students, even during normal times, are required to submit to state-mandated immunizations. These immunizations are required by the state of Illinois, and we ask that all students initially submit their immunizations through the self-service immunization portal. Information about what vaccines are required and how to submit them can be found on our website. Many of you are also probably wondering a little bit about general services at the Wellness Center, and I'll touch on just a few. I encourage all of you to go to our website and familiarize yourself with the many services that we offer. We have 2 locations, one at Lakeshore and one at Water Tower campus, and we also have a medical triage line called Dial a Nurse, which enables students to call during business hours to speak with a registered nurse about any pressing needs or to make an appointment. Besides medical services, we also have a broad range of mental health and health promotion services. Our mental health staff is large and responsive to the needs of our students. We offer individual and group counseling for our students. A few examples of titles of group counseling offerings from spring of 2021 include mindfulness meditation, simple strategies for managing anxiety, and empowered Black Ramblers. In addition, we have a therapy dog, whom we hope to have back on our campus in the fall. Our health promotion section of the Wellness Center includes a team of health educators that deliver programs and resources that benefit your wellness. Examples of programming offered includes resilience and coping skills, nutrition and positive body image, gender-based violence, and alcohol and other drugs. As I have said throughout my remarks, I encourage all of you to look at our website, which provides even more detailed information about the Wellness Center and topics I have touched on. I look forward to seeing all of you in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joan. I don't know about you, but the most excited I am is when you said that the therapy dog was going to be back on campus in the fall. That's what I'm really excited about.
That's our goal.
We've gotten a couple questions regarding some of the health and wellness resources. And so the first one is, and this is probably coming from folks who know how we did stuff starting the spring semester, but will students coming to campus for the fall be required to quarantine for the first 2 weeks?
No, they will not be required to quarantine for 2 weeks, but all students must test upon arrival and quarantine until they get their test results back, which is usually within 24 hours.
Awesome. And another thing you mentioned, which I thought is really important that I want to reiterate as well, is that contact tracing piece. Can you talk a little bit about whether or not the protocol will be the same if a student tests positive for COVID? Will they be moved to isolation, or will there be any differences between someone who's had a close contact and someone who's actually tested positive?
People who test positive for COVID-19 need to isolate for 10 days. And that time period is 10 days since their symptoms first appeared, or for asymptomatic people from the time of their first positive test date, and at least 24 hours with no fever, without using fever-reducing medications, and improved symptoms, whichever is longer. So isolation is different than quarantine. People who are in quarantine have a different time period in quarantine, but isolate is 10 days. People who are exposed to COVID-19 can be out of quarantine after 7 days with testing between days 5 and 7.
Thank you so much, Joan. We really appreciate all the insights and help into what the fall will look like.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have Dr. Susan Reese, who is the co-section chief of academic continuity. Dr. Reese will go over the academic experience and what that will look like for students in the fall. Welcome, Dr. Reese.
Russell, thank you so much. I'm pleased to be with all of you future Ramblers and talk a little bit about what our expectations are for our academics this fall. We learned so much in the past year about how to create a safe environment for our students. We believe our students are safe on campus now. They will be this summer with our on-campus classes, and you all will be in the fall when you come back, when you join us as a future Rambler. Our data and the data coming out of other institutions of higher ed have shown that the classroom is not a place where transmission occurs readily. And we have taken this into consideration in our decision-making for Loyola University Chicago to return to an on-campus experience for all of our Ramblers. We will be offering our classes fully in person, and our classroom utilization plans are what we had pre-pandemic. Unless you applied to a program that was previously offered as an online class, you will not be able to take all of your classes online. Our classroom capacities are typical of our pre-pandemic levels. We do, however, want some mitigation measures taken, and that is that we are going to require masks to be worn in class and on campus. We've kept an extended passing period of 30 minutes between each class, which is not our normal passing period. We have done this because we do expect our students and our faculty to continue to wipe in and wipe out with disinfectant wipes before each and after each class. We plan to continue this practice next fall just out of an abundance of caution. Again, we do not see any data showing transmission in the classroom, but we want people to feel comfortable and safe while they're taking their classes. Students, if you have specific questions about your programs, I encourage you to reach to your admission counselor, and they can connect you with a specific academic advisor or an associate dean to ask questions about that particular program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reese. We have gotten a lot of questions about opportunities outside of the classroom. So
Sure.
What sort of research, shadow, or internship opportunities are available through campus or out in Chicago?
I believe there will be a lot of opportunities available for students to be participating in research on campus. Our university is a user of a product called Handshake that many of the career centers on campus utilize. Students are able to make Handshake accounts and look for on-campus work, off-campus work, internships, and eventually full-time jobs. It's a very robust product, and I encourage all incoming students, as soon as they're able, to create an account to look for those opportunities. As far as research goes, I would encourage students to connect with faculty that they are taking classes with and learn more about those opportunities.
Thank you. And another question that I've seen pop up in the Q&A responses and something we got before the session as well is, how easy is it to explore and switch majors? And maybe can you speak to kind of what a student should do if they're interested in switching or exploring different majors?
Absolutely, Russell. So undergraduate students, you're going to be exposed to a variety of topics because of our very comprehensive undergraduate core curriculum. The core curriculum is really designed to give the student the whole experience of academics. It involves things such as history and literature and our mission-related classes in theology and philosophy, and students are exposed to a wide variety of topics. Many of the professional schools have required classes in their own core curriculums, and so students are exposed to various classes depending on what your current school is. So changing majors within schools is typically pretty easy. It's also easy to transfer from one undergraduate program to another in many circumstances. I don't want to say all, because some programs, such as nursing, an undergrad student has to start from the beginning. But if a student is in communication, for an example, and wants to switch over to the Quinlan School of Business and become a marketing major, they can do that. And you can talk to your admissions counselor now if you're thinking of making the change now. You can talk to your orientation folks this summer. And we have lots of students make changes during academic years, Russell.
Thank you so much. As someone who changed their major multiple times, it's really great to hear that this is a lot easier than when I went to school. So thank you so much for clarifying that and providing that information, Dr. Reese, and appreciate your contribution this evening.
Thank you so much, Russell.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to remind folks that we have a lot of questions coming through in the question and answer. We're definitely getting to all of them, but if you do have questions that pop up in each section, please feel free to use that feature. We have some expert responders who are happy to help in those situations. But next, I'd like to introduce Marissa Lucchese. Marissa is the Director for Student Activities and Greek Affairs here at Loyola, and will be sharing more information about what students can expect outside of the classroom in the fall. Take it away, Marissa.
Hey, Russell, thanks for having me. And congratulations on your acceptance, future Ramblers. The team over in Student Activities and Greek Affairs, also known as SAGA, is really looking forward to meeting you in the fall and working with our student leaders to provide opportunities to meet new friends, join a student organization, and develop leadership skills. As you continue to prep for the fall semester, I recommend you follow @Loyola Saga on Instagram to stay up to date with the in-person and virtual programs that we're planning. Of course, the level of in-person engagement will reflect the campus-based health and safety protocols at the time. For many students, Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs, or SDMA spaces, serve as a hub for studying, being in community, connecting with friends, or even meeting new ones. Please note that access to gathering spaces within SDMA will most likely require reservations for the fall term. Programs and activities are expected to be offered both remotely and in person. Graduate and professional adult student life will also have on-campus presence and programming within the 3 campuses based on COVID-19 regulations and recommendations. Knowing that there are some graduate programs that will continue to have virtual classes or create hybrid classes, the department will continue to have virtual programming and create hybrid engagement experiences. Russell, I know we got a couple questions about working out in the chat already. The Hallis Recreation Center will be available for use by students in the fall semester. Campus Recreation will continue to plan to run in-person programming such as group fitness, intramural sports, club sports, and more. It's important to note that Hallis has something for all skill levels and interests. I encourage you to visit Campus Recreation's website at www.luc.edu/campusrec. As Loyola Ramblers, you'll be expected to follow the community standards. So please keep in mind the student promise to care for yourself, others, and the community. It's important to keep up with evolving circumstances of the pandemic, which impact the health and safety protocols all of our students will be expected to follow both on and off campus. The standards will continue to be adjusted based on university, city, state, and federal public health orders and laws. Back to you, Russell.
Thank you so much, Marissa. I'm excited about Hallis opening. I need to go get my workout on after all these days of being inside. The other thing we know, especially from this semester, is our students are so eager to join registered student organizations, and we have a lot of them. Can you share what student orgs or a little bit about student orgs and what they'll be allowed to do once the semester begins?
Yeah, absolutely. We are continuing to reimagine what recruitment and engagement will look like now that we're able to be back on campus. But our Ramblers can look forward to attending the Registered Student Org Fair, where over 200 student orgs will be recruiting members. And we're also hoping that the student orgs will be able to gather and host meetings and events in person.
And another thing that we've gotten a lot of questions about, and especially in residence life as well, when you're on campus, is like, what kinds of opportunities will there be for students who would like to make friends once the semester begins?
Yeah, I'm so happy you asked this question. We get this question all of the time. So students, definitely add Welcome Week to your calendars. Welcome Week is the first week of school, and that's where student activities and Greek affairs, along with other campus partners, will be hosting multiple programs and activities to get you connected to campus, learn campus traditions, make some friends in person and virtually, and also figure out what kind of activities you want to continue to be involved with throughout the fall semester.
Thank you so much, Marissa. I really appreciate you talking about what students can expect in the fall, and we're looking forward to all these opportunities. I'm now going to pass the mic over to Jennifer O'Brien, who's the Associate Director of Housing Operations in our Residence Life Department. And I know a lot of you have had questions about living on campus, what that's like, some deadlines, and Jennifer will go over all those questions that you may have about living on campus.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to hear the excitement about coming back to campus. Move-in will be a mere 5 months away, which sounds like a lot of time, but we know everybody is anxiously awaiting information about what to expect for fall. So I'm going to give you some information about kind of next steps, and we'll start to touch on some of those move-in related questions. So for fall, we can really anticipate, as long as public health guidelines allow, that we will be fully open on campus in terms of our residence hall buildings, our dining halls, as well as our campus buildings. An important note for folks is that the first-year residency requirement does remain in place for this fall. So we do expect all first-year students to live on campus. For those who have been admitted, you typically have one of two next steps to take. You're either filling out your housing application, which you can find off of the Residence Life website. There'll be a link in the chat that you can connect to. Or for students who are planning on living at home with a parent or legal guardian, you would fill out a housing exemption form, which will also be linked in the chat. For students who are planning on living with us on campus, as opposed to at home with a parent or guardian, we have some really great information on our website. We recently did a partnership with a company called Vivid Media to create really fantastic residence hall tours. You can go and see public space, laundry rooms, study rooms, social lounges, as well as detailed information about what the residence hall rooms look like themselves. You can see kind of typically what's included in each building, appliances, furniture. There's a measurement tool so you can get a sense of like how large the space is. And we include helpful little pop-ups where you can click and see if your bed is adjustable, what size sheets you should bring. So a really, really helpful tour, especially because we can't currently offer in-hall tours. For the fall, we are planning on offering both single and double occupancy spaces. There will be more single rooms offered than what we typically do in a non-pandemic year, but more than half of our residence hall students will have a roommate and will likely be sharing common bathroom space as well. You can fill out your room type and building preferences as a part of your housing application. You can also fill out roommate matching information. We typically ask questions about your study habits, your sleep habits, your cleaning habits, to try to best offer matches for folks who will be compatible. You can also mutually request a roommate. So if there's someone that you know that you want to live with, you both can list each other on your housing applications as preferred roommates. But it's important that you do list each other. We can't accommodate incomplete matches, so if only one person lists. And it's also important that your building and room type information aligns, that you're listing the same building types and room types. Residence hall room assignments, as well as preliminary move-in information, is typically sent to students in June. We still plan for that to be our timeline. And then we provide a whole host of information regarding the move-in experience, move-in dates, logistics, both through our website, written communication, orientation sessions, and we'll likely be doing follow-up webinars throughout the summer about the return to campus experience. So stay tuned for that more specific information. We're kind of just getting started on the planning process for move-in. There was already a little bit of information that Joan shared earlier in the webinar about what to expect around quarantine and isolation. As she mentioned, students will not have to do a lengthy quarantine when they arrive to campus. It's a come to campus, move in, do your COVID test, and ideally you're quarantining for about 24 hours until those test results are back. And should we have any students who live with us on campus either have an exposure or develop COVID, we do have plans, as Joan talked about, for isolation and quarantine space, which also includes meal deliveries to ensure folks are well taken care of as a part of that process. I know that there's a lot of questions in the chat, and I know that Russell probably has picked some for me, so I'm going to kick it back over to Russell.
Yes, residence life seems to be the hot topic, which is really exciting. I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but can you provide a little bit of overview of kind of when information will be shared with students and maybe where students should look, should they have questions about move-in and that process as well?
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned, June is our typical timeline. We do have to wait for all of our student housing applications to come in. While May 1st is our deadline, we typically see a few housing applications continue to trickle in after that deadline. And then we continue to go through applications and go through the assignment process. So typically it's early June that we're sending out information. And then it's a whole host of follow-up communications. We do have move-in information posted, or will have move-in information posted to our website. And we typically get a lovely guest appearance as a part of the orientation process, which I'm sure Adam will also talk about. So some things to look forward to about the Res Life experience.
Yeah, and I'm glad you used Res Life experience at the end. I think that's a question we're getting a lot of. What will the student experience look like in the residence halls? Specifically, what may social distancing look like, and what will, our guest policies look like as well?
Very good questions. So even in a normal year, when students move in, we typically have some limitations around guest visitation between the move-in period and when students are starting classes. And that's normally pretty intentional. We want students to begin engaging with their communities, participating in community meetings with their RAs, getting to know their roommates. And so typically it's a no guest protocol up until the first day of classes. Once classes start, what we're planning on is very similar to what our guest policy is currently, which is one guest per person, a Loyola community member, and ideally that community member is someone who is compliant with the testing protocols that are required for the fall. So we have this handy app, a Loyola Health app, and typically what students do now, if they have a guest come, they show their Loyola ID, but they also show that they're testing compliant on their phone, on their smartphone. Ideally, once we have more information from the Chicago Department of Public Health, as the semester goes on, we'd like to look to then open up those guest visitation policies to allow for a more typical experience with more guests outside of Loyola community guests potentially, but that's more to come based on public health guidelines. So Other experiences outside of the guest policy is typically what the residence hall staff, the RAs and the RDs are providing in terms of programming experience in our residential curriculum. You can expect that your RAs will host at least one social and one educational program to build community, as well as engaging in intentional connection with our students. We're anticipating having both a mix of in-person and virtual programs taking place in various parts of our residential communities. And of course, upholding and following state, local, and university guidelines in order to keep all students safe as they gather. Our RA team is super excited. I think this semester for everybody was hard. We did a lot of virtual programming, and the RAs are so keen. They're so excited to have folks back, and are really looking forward to everybody being with us again in the fall.
That they are. I get a lot
You
of that.
hear about it,
I hear
right?
about it a lot. Yeah. The other question that we've been getting a lot is about move-in, and specifically about who can help, and if more than one family member can assist with move-in, like we did we only had one family member assist in the spring. So is that something that's likely to continue for the fall?
That's a great question, and I don't have a definitive answer on that. That was probably one of the hardest parts about the spring semester, is that based on where the guidelines were at the time, where COVID transmission numbers were at the time in the Chicago area, we relied more on caution and only allowed one helper for move-in for the spring semester back in January. Our hope is that would look differently for the fall, as long, again, as we're in keeping with those public health guidelines. We'd really like folks to be able to bring family with them to see their spaces. And it obviously makes move-in go faster when you've got more
Yes.
hands to help. So our hope is that we'll be back there, but more information about what those requirements will be included in all of our move-in follow-up throughout the summer.
And the last question I have for you is regarding roommates. So if a student is paired with a roommate that has not been vaccinated and or plans not to get vaccinated, will they have the ability to request a new roommate?
That's a great question. So our hope as a university is that, and we're encouraging all students, faculty, and staff to get vaccinated as soon as they're eligible to do so. And we're really encouraged by a student survey that was done recently that showed a very large number of students intending to be vaccinated when they're eligible, which I think is a really great and positive sign. Our staff typically are able to help students through room change requests, especially if there is space available to do so. But we are frequently in a position where we are full. And so if that's the case, we do offer a room change waiting list. So students can add themselves to a wait list, and we work through that wait list throughout the summer.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know I probably asked you the most questions out of any panelist, so I appreciate all the information and clarification, and we're really excited to welcome students on campus in our residence halls this fall. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. It's fun to be popular. Looking forward to having everybody back. Thank you.
Yeah. And the next topic on our agenda is orientation, which is my favorite time of the year and the first year experience. So I'll let Adam McNeil, who's the Assistant Director for Orientation, take over to speak about what orientation will look like this year.
Awesome, Russell. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Adam McNeil. I am the Assistant Director for New Student Orientation. I want to thank you all for tuning in today to just learn more about what your Loyola experience is going to be looking like. The information that I am prepared to share today specifically relates to the undergraduate orientation experience. For those graduate students that are with us in the audience today, graduate student orientation is a little bit more program specific. So you're going to want to follow up directly with your graduate school program for further information, any questions you may have, that kind of thing. But the office I work for, New Student Programs, we are here to support all new incoming and continuing first year and transfer students and their families, just to help make you have a positive transition to academic life, student life, all of those things at Loyola. And we're just here to give you the information, the resources, and the support you need when you need it. So what summer orientation is going to look like this summer, it will be a summer-long virtual experience. It's going to kick off on Wednesday, May 5th at 10 a.m. At Wednesday, May 5th at 10 a.m., new students will be able to register for all of our orientation experiences through their new student portal. Those experiences are going to include our virtual kickoff event, which will take place on Friday, June 4th, which will kind of just be the overview and the welcome to summer orientation. Another experience you'll be registering for will be your virtual academic registration advising appointment. So that will be directly with an academic advisor. I know I've already seen a lot of questions in the chat about registering for classes for the fall. So for our undergraduate transfer students and our undergraduate first year students, that advising appointment through orientation is when you will actually register for those courses and be able to pick your schedule for the fall. After you've registered for that advising and registration academic advising appointment, you'll want to make sure that you fill out your pre-advising form as soon as possible after May 5th. We get a lot of questions about, hey, what next steps do I need to take? What should I be doing before my academic advising appointment? The way for us to best prepare for your academic advising experience is to fill out that form in your new student portal. Another experience that students will register for is the virtual small group discussion, which is going to be led by an orientation leader. You're going to register for that. That session will take place virtually. You're going to meet and connect with other new first years, other new transfer students. And like I said, it's led by a group of orientation leaders who are just a fantastic group of undergraduate students who are here to help you through this transition. Once you get assigned your orientation leader, they'll be your point person for basically everything throughout the summer. You can ask them any questions and they'll be able to either answer them or refer you out to different offices. They truly are an exceptional bunch of students that are very, very excited to meet you all this summer. Additionally, the one other experience that students will be able to register for the summer is our campus visit days. To be able to accommodate new students and families and the interest of visiting and touring Lakeshore campus this summer, new student programs will be offering optional Lakeshore campus visit days on designated Thursdays and Fridays throughout June, July, and August. Visit days are likely to include things like a welcome session, a campus tour, a small group discussion for students, a resource panel for parents and families, a quick snack break, as well as just other additional opportunities to explore both the Lakeshore campus and the surrounding Edgewater and Rogers Park neighborhoods. So like I mentioned, students can register for those Lakeshore campus visit days experiences in their student portal starting at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, May 5th. Availability is going to be limited and we will be restricted based on all of the Illinois, Chicago, and Loyola public health guidelines, just to be aware of those things. In addition to the summer experiences that you'll be registering for, we will also be running a webinar series of our own for the summer. So that LUC resource webinar series will take place every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m., new freshmen, new transfers, new family members and guests, all of you will be invited to join and listen to many of the resources that have spoken today, as well as a wide variety of other resources that we know will be useful during your transition to us for the fall. So questions are going to be able to be answered all summer long by a variety of folks. So just keeping that in mind. But in addition to our summer-long experience, New Student Programs is going to continue to support you through your first year with programs like New Student Convocation, which will be one of the first things you do as a large community. It's really your welcome where all new students officially begin their academic careers here at Loyola. Welcome Week, as Marissa mentioned earlier through Saga, will be a series of events that is going to be designed to really deepen your understanding of what makes the Loyola community as unique as it is, as well as just having some fun during that first week that you're here. And then the other big experience that you'll all be going through is University 101 and 201, or Univ 101 and 201, which is really just a course that is going to be required for all new students and optional, but really recommended for all of our transfer students. Each class only consists of about 22 students or fewer, and it'll be taught by university faculty or staff who are often the incoming students' first and second year advisor. So all of that, as you can see, we have a lot planned for you this summer and this fall to make Loyola feel like you're home away from home. But inevitably, when questions do arise between now and Welcome Week, we invite you to follow us on Instagram. Our first year experience Instagram account is LUC_FYE. That is a great place to learn about all of the things we have going on first year experience related, as well as our orientation website, which is just luc.edu/orientation for any questions that you may have. And finally, our orientation email, orientation@luc.edu. We are here for you, ready to answer any of your questions, and super excited to help you all transition in the fall.
Thanks, Adam. I told you before we got on the call that I was going to ask you some very technical questions as a result of your section. So the first one that I have for you is May 5th at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m. Central Time, I'm assuming, what should students be doing?
That is a great question. Yes, 10 a.m. Central Time. Students, your admissions student portal is the great place to go at that time. All of our orientation experiences will unlock, so you can register for that advising appointment, that small group discussion, all those amazing webinars, the on-campus visit days. Everything will unlock in your student portal Wednesday, May 5th, 10 a.m. Central Time.
Awesome. And the next highly technical and difficult question that I have for you as well is, students might be, what is this orientation? What kind of sessions are going to be offered? Based on what you know about some of the sessions that we're offering for orientation, is there one that you're particularly excited about? All of them, obviously, but is there one that you're most excited about for students to engage in over the summer?
That is such a good question, Russell. I think the thing I'm most excited about, and I'm just going to kick it back to the students, our orientation leader team comes up with a series of topics and discussions that are entirely student-led. And it's really just an opportunity for incoming students to talk to current students about what it's like to be a Loyola Rambler. As much as I would love to answer all those questions, I'm just a staff member at the end of the day. So we kick it back to our student leaders who are so good at coming up with creative, unique, engaging content to answer any questions that incoming students might have about what it means to come to Loyola Chicago.
Well, those are all the difficult questions I have for you, so you can take a sigh of relief now. Thank you so much. I appreciate the context on orientation. And remember, May 5th at 10 a.m., you need to be on your student portal signing up for that orientation. I'm now excited. Before I move on, I do want to let folks know we obviously have gotten a lot of Q&A responses, and we are hopefully going to get to all of them before we log out today of the webinar. But more information is this is not the only webinar that will be happening between now and when you arrive on campus. So there will be more information coming into various communications and as updates, as websites update and whatnot as well. So we may not have the answers to all of your questions right now, but we will definitely be doing additional webinars and additional information for you to be able to get those questions answered. But now I'm excited to turn the floor over to Margaret Bronek, who is the incoming president of the student government of Loyola Chicago. You heard Adam talk about our amazing student leaders. You have the #1 primo student leader right here for you all. And Margaret's going to share what her experience has been like a student inside and outside of the classroom. So please join me in welcoming Margaret.
Thank you, Russell. And I would definitely echo Adam that my orientation leader peers are absolutely amazing. My name is Margaret and I use she, her pronouns. And as Russell so kindly introduced me, I am currently serve as the president of the student body. I am a third year at Loyola studying environmental policy with minors in nonprofit management and photography. Central to my Loyola experience is being a person for and with others. The summer going into my senior year of high school, I attended Loyola's Summer Scholars Program. Over that week, I built community and explored my passion for social justice. By the end of the week, I was convinced that Loyola was where I was meant to be. I was so convinced, in fact, that when early applications came out, I only applied to Loyola. I remember the day I received my application, my acceptance letter in the mail inside those iconic green doors. I don't know if you all still received those now. My mom took a picture. It was absolutely amazing, so great. And I think that this brings me to that each of your stories are unique. Maybe you had Loyola is where I'm meant to be moment like me, or maybe your love for Loyola and our community will grow with your experiences and connections. Remember that each of your stories will make Loyola a more vibrant and beautiful community. And as one of your student peers, I can't wait to meet you all and welcome you in person in the fall. And I know so many of my student peers as well would echo that. Since the beginning of my Loyola experience, I've had the opportunity to be part of so many student organizations, such as the Student Government of Loyola Chicago, Restoration Club, and the Loyola Hub of the Sunrise Movement. I've also studied and interned abroad at Loyola's John Felice Rome Center, took part in several Loyola retreats, and built community with so many, again, of my student peers. Through all of these experiences, I realized that there were a few things that I wish I knew before I came to Loyola. The first is that Loyola asks us to set the world on fire. And that starts as undergraduates within our community at Loyola. If you're interested in social justice, I'd encourage you to connect with non-registered student organizations such as Our Streets LUC, the Sunrise Movement, and Students for Reproductive Justice. If you have the opportunity to, join a living learning community. My first year, I was part of the leadership learning community where I first connected with so many of my now close friends and student leaders on the 19th floor of Mertz Hall. Mertz Hall is the absolute best, I must say. Thirdly, Loyola is home base in a beautiful Chicago, and we are a city of neighborhoods. Loyola is connected to both Edgewater and the Rogers Park neighborhood. I wish I could have gotten involved earlier in the neighborhood, and I definitely recommend getting involved early and often. Attend a cleanup day in Edgewater through the 48th Ward or Edgewater Environmental Coalition, where I actually happen to be interning right now. Eat from local businesses. I'd recommend Common Cup, Archie's, and check out live music and sustainable food at Uncommon Ground as well. Above all, remember that we are guests in the Rogers Park and Edgewater community, and we take our job of being good neighbors very seriously. I'd also recommend, finally, to follow as many student organizations on Instagram as you can. And also follow some of my favorite Loyola departments on Instagram. Just some quick shout outs here. First year experience is great, student diversity and multicultural affairs, and student activities and Greek affairs as well. You'll be able to get so much valuable information from those accounts, but I'd also recommend, of course, following the student government account at SG Loyola Chicago. The other day, I was walking on campus and to do some work on the quad, and I saw that with spring, our campus has come alive again. The waterfall was on in front of the information commons. Students were hammocking and working on projects with friends and laughing. It was really beautiful. I've been waiting for a moment of joy and growth in life like this for a long time, and it felt like it had finally arrived. I had another one of those I am meant to be right here at Loyola moments that I hope one day all of you can experience as well. As we intentionally return to campus in the fall, don't be a stranger. Come and say hi on the second floor of Damon Student Center. And until then, thank you all for your time and good luck with your search to find the university or college that is right for you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Margaret, or should I say President Bronek. We really appreciate all the information that you provided, and I would agree. But I'd love for you to, a quick Q&A with you. I'd love for you to provide, like, what's the one must thing students must do once they arrive on campus in the fall? Like one of the first things they do. What is something that every Loyolan should do?
I think the first thing you should do is go out with a group of friends to the lake. Your first night at Loyola, definitely go to the lake, sit by the lake, take in the views, and then maybe walk through Damon Student Center. I'm sure there will be so many students around ready to have a conversation and just engage with you all. Maybe I'll be there. We can chat.
And what's your favorite Loyola tradition that folks could take advantage of?
Yeah, I definitely think that the convocation orientation are just so wonderful, but I'd like to specifically highlight Welcome Week. I wish I was able to go to more Welcome Week experiences, as I've now become an upperclassman, and I will be doing that next year as a senior. But my freshman year, there was a hypnotist that came, and that was the funniest experience of my life. So any of those kind of cool Welcome Week experiences, I totally recommend.
Well, thank you so much. And I hope the students on the call or on this webinar got everything out of it, of knowing how to be good neighbors in the community, and also some really great things to look forward to. So we really appreciate that. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for your time this evening. And I hope all of your questions about fall and Loyola have been answered. Above all, I hope that you will come away from tonight feeling like Loyola will be a safe and welcoming place for you, both academically and socially, this fall and beyond. As I mentioned before, our Q&A experts will remain on the line after we conclude to provide written replies to any remaining questions that come in. We're still looking at answering about 97 questions that were in, so it'll take us a little bit of time to get through them, but we will get through them. And if you have any additional questions following this webinar, the best place to email is COVID-19 support@luc.edu. They're very quick at responding and being able to get the answers you need for any questions that you might have about coming to Loyola this fall. And on behalf of the panelists today and the entire Loyola community, we welcome you to Loyola and look forward to you sporting your maroon and gold on campus this fall. Thank you all. Have a good night.